Hello. This is the chap who normally comes on at the start of these podcasts, this time affecting a simply dreadful British accent, for if I don't miss my guess, you're listening to this as part of The Rack, the Icebox Radio Theatre's new podcast of fantasy and science fiction. And nothing says fantasy quite so much as an American actor attempting to sound like something he's not. Now, we love all of our listeners, of course, but we especially love those who have stepped through the velvet ropes to become a listening supporter. Castles and spaceships are quite inexpensive to render here in the world of audio, but petrol money for actors as well as new microphones and equipment are somewhat less so. So we continue to depend on you, the wonderful listener, to help us continue to bring these stories to the world. Simply go to our website, that's iceboxradio.org, and look for the word support across the top of the page there. On that page, you can learn all about our Patreon, you can learn about our membership program, or even just how to drop a $5 in the post. We're not picky. We just appreciate whatever kind attention you and your checkbook may be able to offer us. And now, since brevity be the soul of wit, I yield for this evening's presentation. You are driving in a dark forest, the pine boughs heavy with snow. At the end of a long dirt track road, you arrive at your destination. It's a small, weather-beaten motel called Toujours Gelée. It's not much to look at, really. Just a single weather-beaten shack surrounded by a half-dozen equally run-down cabins. Out back, there's a dingy fishing dock right next to the spaceport. And a few picnic tables for cleaning fish conveniently placed right next to the time portal. So it's easy to dispose of the chum. Come up to the office now. Let the bear in the tuxedo take your bags. Ask the time-traveling Viking at the concierge desk if you have any questions, and then step up to the main desk to meet the owner, Old Pierre.
Hello, and welcome to Toujours Gelée Motel. Looking for something to do? We have all kinds of tourist information right over here. I invite you to select a brochure from The Rack.
Fairhaven approach, this is Shuttle 199 from Deep Space Transport, Magellan, requesting the initial, over. Fairhaven approach, Shuttle 199, requesting initial, please advise. Fairhaven approach, how about some help, guys?
Forget it, typical Fairhaven crap. You want me to take this landing?
Ah, no, you took the last one. Anyway, I could do this landing with my eyes closed. Now, if Fairhaven Control actually responded, then I'd be nervous.
Passenger light lit?
Oh, yeah, thanks, almost forgot. Don't want to be messing around with this one.
Actually, looking at her, I was thinking messing around sounded rather nice.
You see that badge? Inspector General, my boy. Way out of your league.
Inspector General. Coming to Fairhaven? Should be warn her.
Warn her about what?
The natives. Rank or nose, she's very nice to look at, and I'd hate to see what those cannibals would do to her.
You're ignorant. There are no cannibals at Fairhaven.
Then how come we never see anyone? How come we just land, drop off the supplies, and fly back to Magellan?
Because there's nothing to linger around for. Planet closed its last bar years ago, and New Brainerd's only 2 days steam away. I'm in a mood for a town with a little hop in it, not Fairhaven.
Something's wrong with it.
Just a bunch of old people, that's all. Work the imaging for me, would you?
Inspector General. Why would she be coming here?
Excuse me.
Yeah?
You did call them, correct?
Yes, ma'am. We asked for landing instructions and informed Fairhaven Control that a passenger was on board.
And Magellan called as well.
Yes, ma'am, as we left.
and I just don't understand it.
Ma'am?
Robbie.
Take it easy. Ma'am, have you ever been to Fairhaven before?
Yes, but not for a while.
'Cause this place, ma'am, it's different than other colonies.
How so?
Well, for one, control never seems to be manned. We never see anybody when we drop off supplies. It's like the people here just don't care. Honestly, ma'am, if I were to walk past that tree line, I don't know what to expect.
You sound worried, Pilot.
I am. I mean, you're an inspector general. You're an important person. You shouldn't really be going out there unescorted.
I think I can handle Fairhaven just fine.
But, ma'am, we're not really sure what's out there.
I'm sure. Pilot, I was born in Fairhaven.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello!
Hello?
I got a little sidetracked, so I couldn't meet the transport. I'm Cyrus Woolsey, governor of the colony. Welcome to Fairhaven. Always a pleasure to greet visitors from Administration Central.
Hello, Mr. Woolsey.
Well, hand on a tick. Leona? Mm-hmm. Oh, Leona. Well, paint me red. It's little Leona, all grown up. You were, 12 when I saw you last?
About that. It was a long time ago anyway.
Well, the years have been a lot kinder to you than to me, I'll tell you that. Let me have a look at you. Good heaven above if I were 40 years younger.
How's Lana? Your wife.
Oh, yes. Fine. Fine. She's fine. Well, why on earth didn't you tell us it was you coming? Here the council has been up in arms for a month at the thought of an inspector on the way. Oh, and it turns out to be little Leona making a homecoming.
Well, this is an official visit. There was about a dozen places online for my next assignment, but when I saw Fairhaven on the route list, I couldn't resist.
Oh, but you should have called us. We could have... Well, a celebration is in order.
Is town still this way?
Oh, absolutely. Here, let me get your bag. Oh.
The gravity units are on the side here.
Oh, one of the new ones. Ah, better. Come, my dear, let's take you home. Office is still in there. That hasn't changed.
That and nothing else. Everything looks exactly the same.
Well, that's the way people around here, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. My grandpa used to say that.
Yeah, that's why Mom and Dad wanted to leave.
Oh, how are your folks?
Divorced. Dad remarried. Mom's thinking about going to another colony.
Colonial life gets under your skin. Where was that bottle? Here we are. A little hair of the transport that bit you. This is some of Mr. Dietrich's apple brandy. Set it up himself about 15 years ago.
Still alive and making brandy, I bet.
Alive, yes. 2 surprises.
Surprises.
Now, tell me who you'd like to see. I imagine you'd want to meet all your old teachers, of course. Retired now, but I think most of them are still here.
Mr. Woolsey, can we talk business first? I do want to see everyone, you're right, but...
Of course, Leona. Have a seat. Now, what business does Administration Central have with a little backwater like us?
Oh, the usual questions.
Questions?
We started our 21st colony last year.
That a fact.
Some have been successful, some haven't. Fairhaven's considered a success, but there are questions.
Oh, there's that word again.
And the questions are important, because when people sign on as colonists to new colonies, they expect the administration to be able to help, to be able to tell them some of the problems they might encounter, how to deal with disease, how to survive at first, and then how to build a progressively improving standard of living.
Leona, I've been governor of Fairhaven for 40 years. You're telling me things they told us day one of the training seminar.
Well, I guess my little pre-rehearsed speech isn't going so well.
Look, why don't we go out and see who's sitting in the town square? You'd be surprised who's still around.
I've been dispatched to find out what's happened to this colony.
So Central thinks something's wrong?
Central knows something's wrong. This was originally designated as a mineral colony. You haven't exported ore in 3 years.
Oh, is that what this is about? The mine played out, that's all. Oh, I know I should have sent a form back to Central. It was here somewhere. Been sitting on my desk for months, you want to know the truth.
What about the Ayla root, the fiber those women used to weave into clothing and blankets?
Oh, you mean the women's co-op? They all abandoned that years ago. It got to be too much work.
But when I was little, those women were creating unique designs, sending them back on the transports. I remember my mother taking me to a party when I was about 8. It was a celebration for the co-op. They'd just gotten their payment from a clothing distributor on Earth. They were excited, talking about opening up a full-fledged weaving mill.
Oh, I don't know what to tell you. The women just gave it up.
It's not just the co-op or the mine. It's everything. When I was little, Fairhaven was an outpost. We even had a hotel for a while, remember?
Oh, I remember how much trouble it was. Fights in the bar every weekend. A lot of strangers coming in from off-world. More trouble than it was worth. I was happy when it burned.
It burned? When?
I can't remember. 4 years, 5 years.
I've got no report of a fire in the files. That hotel was the largest structure in town. It should have been reported.
Well, like I told you, it piles up sometimes. I guess I just forgot.
Mr. Woolsey, I don't want you to take this wrong.
I understand.
But this used to be a thriving colony.
I understand. I'm an old man, should have retired years ago.
And you've just dropped off the map. That's why they sent me here, to find out why.
I guess when I saw you there, I hoped it was just a visit.
A visit was part of it, I suppose. Since Mom and Dad moved us back to Earth, I've thought about coming back often.
Why didn't you visit then? Oh, we love seeing you. Unless... Oh.
Is he still here?
Mm-hmm. Went back to Earth, finished medical school, and then returned. He's our town doctor now, just like his father before him.
I suppose you heard what happened on Earth. We were both at university at the same time, a couple of colonial kids adrift in the big city. We just sort of fell in together.
I'll tell you this, Leona. There are a handful of pretty girls here. He hasn't had time for any of them.
Time, that always was it.
Pardon?
Nothing. I need to inspect everything, Mr. Woolsey, and I need to start right away. The next transport comes through in 48 hours.
Can't understand it. Usually a lot of people out in the square this time of day. Must be the heat.
It's just as well. When the mine closed, did the office close with it?
Well, nobody uses it anymore, if that's what you mean. Whoa now!
Excuse me.
Oh, Bart, you practically ran over our guest.
I'm sorry.
Leona, you remember Dieter and Maura. This their youngest, Barton.
Hello, Barton. I knew your mom and dad.
Hello.
Is it a holiday from school today?
We've been outside for a long time.
Oh, you're homeschooled.
Mom, Dad, she's supposed to have lessons for us, but she don't remember some days.
You can run along now, Barton.
But your parents chose to homeschool, is that right?
Chose? What chose?
That's good, Barton. Why don't you run along and play now? I hear the fish are really jumping at the South Branch.
Are you our new teacher, lady? We ain't had a teacher a long time.
Barton, would you show me your school? I went there a long time ago, but I don't know if I can find it.
Sure thing, sure thing. It's over here.
Oh, no.
Here you go.
It's an old building, isn't it, Barton?
Don't know old. Just falling down and stuff. Did you really go here when you were little?
Mm-hmm.
How come I never see you around here?
I don't live on Fairhaven anymore. When I was a little older than you, my family moved back to Earth.
You left Fairhaven?
What's so surprising about that?
Oh, finally caught up with the two of you. Old legs can't compete. Now, Barton, the young lady and I have a lot of business, so you run along now, okay?
I'll talk to you later, all right, Barton?
Sure, Bubba.
They grow up so wild here in the colonies. I remember one time a bunch of kids came out of the woods covered in berry juice. They've been using like war paint.
I remember that.
Leona?
What happened to this school, Mr. Woolsey?
Well, the colony's changed, of course. We just don't have the young children like we used to. A few years ago, it seemed like the thing to do was to close the school and leave the families in charge of educating their children. There's only a handful left, you know. What are you doing?
Homeschool resource kits are one of the things colonists can request from Central. I'm just seeing if we shipped any here.
Oh.
You know the answer to it already, don't you? The requisitions would have gone through you. Mr. Woolsey, I think it's time you explain to me what's happened to Fairhaven.
Yeah, do you mind terribly much that I have to take you to see John?
If it will explain what's happened here, I don't mind at all.
Knock, knock. John, you in here?
Yeah, come on back. Well, Governor, old pal, to what do I owe this?
Well, I told you an inspector general was coming. Look who it turned out to be.
Are you going to say hello?
You're here on business?
Why else?
John, Leona...
You're here to inspect Fairhaven.
Actually, I've already started. Mr. Woolsey and I had a talk. I saw the school.
You told her?
I couldn't do it as well as you, John, so...
Mr. Woolsey, could you give us just a minute?
What?
Just 5 minutes, please.
I'll check next door, see if Dilrick is in.
Do that.
Woolsey seems to think you're the man to explain everything. John, what?
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
You don't even give me a chance for witty repartee? You realize, of course, I could have you arrested for assault of an administrative official.
Don't joke, please. God, I missed you.
Really?
Of course.
Funny, I kind of missed that about you. 10 years. No calls, emails, anything?
You didn't contact me either.
I was the one that got dumped, remember? I need some pride.
I was wrong. I'm sorry. I was full of myself and full of the idea of coming back here and continuing where Dad left off. You wanted to stay on Earth.
I still do.
So it couldn't have worked.
You're talking to me or to yourself?
I don't know. Why are you here?
You think I'm here for you?
No, of course not. Are you?
You're the only reason I haven't been back before now.
Oh.
I'm here because of my job. I admit I thought it would be nice to see you again in a self-esteem crushing sort of way, but I didn't make this trip on my own. Fairhaven came up on the route list just like any other colony. When I took the assignment, my supervisor went through the file with me. That's not standard procedure, by the way. Fairhaven is a special case. Administration Central has a lot of questions.
Which brings us back to the beginning.
Which brings us back to before the kissing bandit struck?
You can't blame me.
Sure I can.
You're not even flattered?
A little. But experience with you, John, has taught me to control these feelings. The alternative is problematic.
Woolsey's back.
And not a moment too soon.
Oh, Dilrick was in all right. Yeah, man will talk your ear off if you let him. Have we had a little chat?
Yes.
Then she knows.
She doesn't know enough.
I need to inspect the mine. Would both of you come with me, please?
I have a lot of work here.
The bottle can wait, John. Come on. If the tiller bugs out by the mine are as big as I remember, I'm going to need 2 big, strong men to protect me.
I suppose you could make it an order if you wished.
Actually, I couldn't. Not for the colony doctor, anyway.
In that case, let's go.
And the pit was never expanded after that.
Well, we talked about it, of course. But we didn't have the resources for another expansion. And not to mention, the vegetation line was getting awfully close. Central law says we need a 20-meter buffer zone between mining and natural vegetation.
There are dispensations for that. And as far as the money goes, there are plenty of investment firms on Earth and elsewhere.
Well, we're awfully small potatoes here.
But that doesn't really matter. As long as you give a return, someone would have been willing to put up the cash for an expansion.
You seem to know a lot about our problems here.
That's why they sent me. Oh, Dad taught me a lot about this mine.
Your father was the best engineer we ever had.
There's a lot of quarter nuggets here, too. They can be collected and refined, too, you know.
We always understood that wasn't cost-effective.
There are new methods. Honestly, Mr. Woolsey, when was the last time anyone worked this mine?
Well, let's see. John, do you...
2.5 years.
Uh-huh. And in your opinion, Mr. Woolsey, is this mine played out?
Oh, Leona, please, call me Cyrus.
What about you, Doctor? Do you think this mine is played out? Do you think its usefulness is at an end?
Why don't you tell me what you think?
You'll get a copy of my report.
But what do you think? What are your first impressions?
That this pit has a good 5 years left in it, maybe more. And there's room for expansion. Offhand, I'd say there's 30 years left in this mine.
Well, now, Leona...
School children have no place to go to school. Basic jobs like space traffic control are ignored. The pilot corps are well aware of Fairhaven and the fact that it's not a good place to be.
I hardly think the opinion of a couple of...
Let her finish.
At one point, this was a thriving colony. An outpost of civilization. Okay, so maybe it was a long way off the track, but it was still a place that had a future. Now I don't know what it is. Well, what happened, Mr. Woolsey?
That's not really the question, is it?
What do you mean?
The question isn't what happened to the colony. The question is what happened to the colony's people.
All right, what happened to the colony's people?
Oh, John.
She has to know.
But are you sure?
Do you know a way around it? You want to see what happened?
Yes.
Then come with me. I'm sure you recognize this.
Of course, it's the old transport system. These have been phased out in most colonies.
Mm-hmm. A pilot that was here last year told me it was the only one still operational in the quadrant.
That's right. This line is the point of pride for the whole community.
Yes, it is. Notice anything interesting about it, Leona?
I'm not sure what you mean.
The school is falling down. The landing field, covered with weeds. The mine, by your own estimation, still a viable commodity left to rust. But this line is in perfect working order.
And you're going to tell me why that's significant?
Look at it. These are old heavy metal contacts. They need to be lubricated by hand or else the car will freeze up. The cabling was steel, originally from Earth. We've had to replace it 3 times. Do you know how much that cost us last time? Raw steel from Earth?
Oh, John, please.
It cost more money than this colony actually had.
You're beginning to catch on. When we were kids, there were 5 of these lines. Take you out from the settlement to the furthest reaches of the colony. Do you recognize the one we're on?
This is the lake line, isn't it?
Yes. I remember when they finished this system. I must have been 9 or 10.
I do too.
Remember how they used to talk in those days? Colonists working together for the good of everyone? This is going to be the transport system to connect us all. The other 4 lines, they went to the mine, or out to the farmers' fields, or places like that. They were intended to haul goods and supplies and take people to and from work. Do you remember what this line was for?
Yes.
This line was for recreation.
Lake Abershaw.
Beautiful Lake Abershaw. The reason most of our families chose this colony. The mine was hard work and the soil was poor for the farmers, and we were a hell of a long way from everything. But there were those weekends at the lake to make it all worthwhile. Do you remember the line? Do you remember how it goes?
We're over the gorge.
That's right. Remember spitting out into the gorge even when our parents told us not to?
Yes.
So what's next?
The line will go up slightly to crest that hill, then the lake will be on the other side.
That's right. There we go. The engine's always strained just a bit to make it over that hill.
John, stop the car.
Why, Woolsey? What could ever be the matter?
We have to explain to her. We can't let her see.
See? Well, that's the point, isn't it, Woolsey? That's why we're in this car, going toward the lake. We're going to let her see, because a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Well, Leona, you have to understand, we have an aging population. Life can be very hard out here in the colonies.
Very hard, huh?
It's not the same colony you grew up in. But there is a place for us, I'm sure, if the administration would only understand.
What are you talking about?
The burba trees have grown in around the line again. You won't see the lake until we get through them.
I'm begging you, stop the car.
Why?
To give me a chance to explain.
There is no explanation. You're just floundering around trying to buy yourself some time.
Oh, John, for God's sake.
God is what we're all about around here. Enjoying his creation.
That's blasphemy.
It's the truth. Leona, I'm sure you read up on the current condition of Fairhaven before coming. What does Administration Central say about our population?
Last records said you had about 3,000.
Not bad, given the way Woolsey keeps up the official communicates. Yeah, it's pretty close. It's actually around 2,400.
Fine, what does the population have to do with the lake?
We're coming up to the burba trees. Once the car goes through them, you'll see. There it is. Beautiful Lake Abershaw.
I don't understand.
Well, Leona, it's a very complex lifestyle we've developed here.
Are they all there? Is every last member of the colony in the lake?
There's the occasional oddball. That kid, for example, the one who showed you the school, he likes to explore, likes ruins. He'll make a great archaeologist someday, should he be able to leave.
Mr. Woolsey?
Everyone is here.
Is it a holiday of some kind?
No, it isn't.
Then why?
I can't explain it. I can't explain it at all. It's John that'll do the explaining from now on.
John?
The ride's almost over, Leona. Let's go down and meet the folks.
Oh, look. The car's coming back. I didn't know there was anyone left in the settlement except crazy old Dr. John.
Crazy old Dr. John.
Honey,
What is it now? I'm floating.
give me another push, would ya?
You shouldn't push so much. It's bad for you.
You can't talk. I pushed you just 5 minutes ago.
That was an hour ago. Float for a while.
Please, baby.
Fine. Ready?
Ready.
They're cheering for you again, baby.
I almost did it that time. I almost breathed it.
You're pushing too much.
Maybe I am, but the way I feel. Oh,
Hey! What's that?
it's a little one floating by. See that?
Oh, baby. Is it one of ours?
I don't think so. It's not breathing anyway. Float away, little baby. Float away.
I wish I could float like that.
Baby. Give me another push, would you?
You shouldn't push so much. It's bad for you.
Oh, you can't talk. I pushed you just 5 minutes ago.
That was an hour ago. Float for a while.
Please, baby.
A Distant Land, Part 1. Anna Remus was Leona. Jim Yount portrayed John and the second pilot. Tom Bement played Woolsey. Piran Irwin was Barton. And Jeffrey Adams, who also wrote and directed this production, played the first pilot. A Distant Land is copyright 2009 by the Icebox Radio Theater, all rights reserved. Learn more about their live performances, podcast, and online radio station at iceboxradio.org.
the sound of the orchestra preparing, or in the sound of a sculptor working in stone, or even in the sound of laughter from inside a theater. It is the sound of art being created, and for over 3 decades, the sound of art being created has rung loud and clear in northeastern Minnesota. The Arrowhead Regional Arts Council has been encouraging local arts development in northeastern Minnesota through grants and services for over 35 years. Every year, they give out more than $500,000 to local artists and arts organizations, and that helps create $40 million in revenue and jobs created. To find out more about our arts programs or how you can get involved, visit aracouncil.org. The Arrowhead Regional Arts Council, where the arts flourish, you thrive.